What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today's video is sort of a little bit of a last minute planned one, because I am going to be heading to Sydney tomorrow morning, and I will be vlogging all of that, so should be good. Hopefully I'll actually be able to have a decent travel video come out of that. But I'm doing that because I'm helping a friend with a film shoot. And so I wanted to sort of look at sort of the similarities and differences between the arts, because there's an arts industry, and entertainment, because there's an entertainment industry, and there are some very key differences between the two. I mean, the most prominent one is probably the fact that one of them is the consumption of, whereas the other is the production of. Be probably the easiest way to define the differences. Other than that, it's the same products. It's just whether or not you are making or participating, I suppose, in its consumption. So I've got on this screen the arts, the Wikipedia page for the arts, and on this one, with highly overexposed, we have entertainment. And so I have looked at these pages plenty of times before. This is going to have the different types of entertainment, and that one is going to have the different types of the arts. Okay, so before we even get down to any of our little drop bars, we get some prominent examples in this top paragraph for the arts. So architecture, the visual arts, which includes ceramics, drawing, filmmaking, painting, photography, and sculpting. The literary arts, which is fiction, drama, poetry, and prose. The performing arts, dance, music, and theatre. Textiles and fashion, folk art and handicraft, oral storytelling, conceptual and installation art, philosophy, criticism, which is an art form. The culinary arts, like cooking. And it says here, they employ skill and imagination to produce objects, performances, convey insights and experiences, and construct new environments and spaces. Okay, so we'll be referring back to that as we go along. Our first form on the list is banquets, which really sort of put it all together, but knowing from previous viewings of this particular page, this is our culinary art one. The main part of a banquet is the consumption of food. So this is where our culinary arts comes in as far as entertainment is concerned. The eating and consumption of food is the entertainment form, whereas the art form is the making of. Our second one is music, which we know is one of our performing arts. The next one is games, which would, I mean, that one really comes down to quite a couple of different art forms. Games, like making games, involves various art forms, such as computer animation, so essentially three-dimensional digital drawing. There's performance in it of a kind, probably more along the lines of theatre, with the voice acting. Obviously there's writing involved for the story, etc. But as far as being its own thing, playing games, whether those are board games, card games, or video games, or even just like, I don't know it's going to be later on down here, but even sports, playing a sports game, a form of entertainment that is not also an art form. You can't really so much create sport or create game as you can, watch sport and play play game. So yeah, because playing the sport or watching the sport even is an entertainment form. So on both sides of the production and the consumption, both of those are a form of entertainment. So neither one of them is an art form. We've got literature, which is literary arts. I'm pretty sure this one, we've got comedy, which is a performance. People have done dances, they've done musical bits. It's predominantly a theatre thing. It's definitely a performance. Performance just in and of itself is here. In this case, they're talking about live performance, which is really odd because later on they'll also have theatre as its own separate one. Storytelling, we know that oral storytelling was in there as well. Theatre, like I said. Cinema and film. Again, filmmaking is one of our visual arts. Dance is one of our performance arts. And then we get into kind of a unique section here. Animals as a form of entertainment. Now this could be going and seeing the trained animals at a circus, going to a zoo, any kind of animal racing, whether that's horses, camels, ostriches, frogs, cockroaches, whatever. Things like dolphin parks often have marine shows where they do the jumps out of the water. And then, much as we don't like them, the blood sports like dogfighting, cockfighting, the rodeo, not so much that that's blood sport, but it is sort of one of those more potentially dangerous ones. But bull riding would be in there, and even things like, and again, I'm not approving of this, but even things like hunting can be a form of entertainment. Can be. The circus, which is actually a performance thing as well. Obviously, again, there's different things like the trapeze and juggling and stuff, but you've also got your animals in there. You might have magician, which is the next one down, is magic. And then we've got street performance, which is literally any other kind of performance just on the street. So it could be music, it could be dance, it could be theatre, and they have their there are places in the world where you can just be walking in the street and all of a sudden they'll be putting on a play in the middle of the street. Parades are also one that they are not an art form. You could say that making the costumes goes into fashion, or building the floats would be somewhere between architecture and folk art and handicraft, maybe, or might be some sort of a conceptual or installation art in the way that the ideas of the float is brought across. But in the same way that games are not in and of themselves an art form, parades are not. Fireworks, again, and then that's where sport comes in. Fairs, expos and shopping. So while you might go to a fair or an expo, and you yourself might have made a cosplay, you're the one doing the art. The fair itself is not an art form. You might go there and you might buy something that someone else has made, like a comic book, which itself, the making of the comic book is an art form, and you enjoying it is an entertainment, but you purchasing it at that point in time, unless you have a little bit of some retail therapy for yourself and you enjoy shopping like I do, that in and of itself is not an art form. It can be entertainment, but it can't be an art form. There's a bit here, art museums as well would fit into that. I would probably say art galleries, and then like museums and stuff would probably fit in that as well. And certainly something like Questacon would be an entertainment form, but it's sort of more an entertainment form in an educational sense as well. But yeah, to refer back to this, the arts can refer to common, popular, or everyday practices, as well as more sophisticated and systematic or institutionalized ones. They can be discrete and self-contained, or combine and interweave with other art forms, such as the combination of artwork with written word in comics. They can also develop or contribute to some particular aspect of a more complex art form, as in cinematography, which you would put together with performance and music to create a film, and those parts would fall under filmmaking in that sense. By definition, the arts themselves are open to being continually redefined. The practice of modern art, for example, is a testament to the shifting boundaries, improvisation and experimentation, reflective nature and self-criticism or questioning that art and its conditions of production, reception and possibility can undergo. As both a means of developing capacities of attention and sensitivity, and as ends in themselves, the arts can simultaneously be a form of response to the world, and a way that our responses and what we deem worthwhile goals and pursuits are transformed. From cave paintings to ancient and contemporary forms of ritual to modern day films, art has served to register, embody and preserve our ever-shifting relationships to each other and the world. So yeah, I really summed it up pretty well at the beginning of the video. The arts are the creation of, and they serve to sort of make a statement about a particular viewpoint of the world, and then once it has been created and is being shared with the world, it then becomes a source of entertainment for other people. So for the artists themselves, the production of art is itself the source of it's both the source of and the end product of the arts, and then it becomes a form of entertainment thereafter. Whereas you can't take a form of entertainment and go the opposite way with it. You can't take a form of entertainment and then make it an art thing. If it already exists, you can't go and then make it. You can take inspiration from it for making something new, but you cannot, like it's a one-way street. Once it exists, it cannot go back to being an art. It is a source of entertainment. Now, like I said, both of them have industries. What do we got here? Okay. So it says here, entertainment is big business, especially in the United States, which we know, but ubiquitous in all cultures. Although kings, rulers, and powerful people have always been able to pay for entertainment to be provided for them, and in many cases have paid for public entertainment, people generally have made their own entertainment, or when possible, attended a live performance. Which, when you consider that to this day, going and seeing a concert or going to a comedy show, the fact that live theatre is still as popular as it is, even if it is to some people viewed as a very sort of elitist activity, the fact that you can still go to all of those things when we've pretty much always done that, means that there's not really anything better than a live performance, and I think pretty much everybody will agree. But yeah, and making your own entertainment, playing games, playing sport, that bit there, when you make your own entertainment, is the closest, the forms that are not themselves coming from a pre-existing thing. Like your game that you are involved in did not exist before you were playing that specific game, and once you're finished playing that specific game, you can rewatch it, and rewatching it will be a form of entertainment. But the art form there really is filmmaking, recording it on your camera. So yeah, you still can't turn those sorts of things into an art form. They're simply a form of entertainment that, when captured, can become a different form of entertainment. It also says here things like amusement parks entertain paying guests with rides like roller coasters, miniature railways, water rides, and dark rides, as well as other events and associated attractions. The construction of those could in and of itself be an art form, but that would also come under architecture and like construction stuff. And it does say here, sometimes the whole amusement park is based on one theme, such as various SeaWorld parks that focus on the theme of sea life. Those same parks also include animal entertainment, because you have your seals, you have the sharks, you have the penguins, the dolphins, you've got, yeah. Another one in Australia has polar bears. I don't know about one in America, but yeah. Cool. Now, at the bottom of the arts one, we do have, and this is where I'm going to be sort of eating some of my own words that I've already said, other arts. There is no clear line between art and culture. Cultural fields like gastronomy are sometimes considered as arts. Now, gastronomy is a relationship between food and culture, is all that is. So that it's sort of come close to being part of the culinary arts. So we've got the applied arts, which are the application of design and decoration to everyday functional objects to make them aesthetically pleasing, bedazzling, essentially. The applied arts include fields such as industrial design, illustration, and commercial art. The term applied art is used in distinction to the fine arts, where the latter is defined as arts that aim to produce objects which are beautiful or provide intellectual stimulation but have no primary everyday function. In practice, the two often overlap. So applied arts would be taking something and then making it pretty, whereas fine art is making something specifically to be pretty. With the applied arts obviously having some other use in the everyday, and fine arts just being the picture that you hang on the wall so you have something that's pretty to look at. Which means that taking family photos is participating in the fine arts, because those family photos, once they're up on the wall, don't really serve any other everyday purpose. The next one down, video games as an art form. Like I said, gonna be eating some of my words here. A debate exists in the fine arts and video game cultures over whether video games can be counted as an art form. Hideo Kojima professes that video games are a type of service, not an art form, because they are meant to entertain and attempt to entertain as many people as possible rather than being a single artistic voice, despite Kojima himself being considered a gaming auteur and the mixed opinions his games typically receive. However, he acknowledged that since video games are made up of artistic elements, like the visuals, the sound design, etc., game designers could be considered museum curators, not creating artistic pieces, but arranging them in a way that displays their artistry and therefore sells the tickets or the games. Within social sciences, cultural economists show how video games playing is conducive to the involvement in more traditional art forms and cultural practices, which suggests the complementarity between video games and the arts. In May of 2011, the National Endowment of the Arts included video games in its redefinition of what is considered a work of art when applying for a grant. In 2012, the Smithsonian American Art Museum presented an exhibit, The Art of the Video Game. Reviews of the exhibit were mixed, including questioning whether video games belong in an art museum. When you go from the kinds of 8-bit graphics that we had in the 60s to now these HD, in some cases really lifelike looking animations in some video games, as well as the depth of storytelling, the sound design. Each individual person involved in making a video game is themselves an artist, which would therefore make video games a collaborative art form, if you look at it like that. But since there's no one singular reflection of the world within making a video game, like one person hasn't made the whole thing, and obviously if there's like some old Flash game that someone literally did make all by themselves, that would be an exception to the rule. But for the most part, the big video games that most people are going to be watching on Twitch, for example, aren't an art form because they are not made by one singular artist. You can't play Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, and you can't play a Picasso painting. But if you decided to take that art style and that story and then bring in a heavy metal band, and you made a video game from that, it would then be a collaborative project by multiple artists. So yeah, that's all I've really got for this video. Again, like I said, I didn't really have a plan for this video. I'm hoping very soon to be able to actually post video game content on the channel, although I am also working on potentially starting a Twitch as well, so I may end up just doing that instead. We'll see what happens, but for now, that's all I've got. Leave a comment down below. What is your favorite form of entertainment, and what is your favorite type of art that you like to participate in? Obviously, those two things do not have to be the same thing. I like writing, so participating in literary arts, but I enjoy watching films, which is cinema. So they're not the same art form or source of entertainment. But let me know in the comments below what yours are. Hit the subscribe button if you are new here, and please also ring that notification bell if you want to be notified when I upload new videos. If you enjoyed this one, please give it a big old thumbs up, and until next time guys, keep your head screwed on.